Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 7 of Macabre Matinee with Craig and Sean. As always, I'm Craig Lance.
I'm Sean, bearded Capolitan.
So let's jump right into this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us again. This week we're going to be discussing Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. And as always, this is your spoiler warning. There is absolutely no way we can review these movies without spoiling them. So if you haven't seen this one, this is your chance. Pause this episode, go watch it, and then come back and finish listening to our breakdown.
Absolutely, because this is a hell of a one. We're gonna, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
definitely want to watch this one before you start seeing all the amazing pictures and gifs I'm about to start playing in this video. So
yeah. This was a good one for sure. So this is, as I said, this one is part 7, and it's subtitled "The New Blood." Not quite sure where that subtitle comes from, other than maybe they just indicating that they're moving away from the Tommy Jarvis stuff. Uh,
yeah, that's my best guess. I don't know if it had anything to do with some of the early script plans they had for this one, but I'll get into a little more of that later. But
oh,
yeah,
okay.
I don't think it was supposed. I guess it is kind of a. But no, it's not even a continuation though. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I thought I had something. It turns out I don't. Continue, good sir.
That happens. So this one was released in 1988. It was directed by John Carl Beckler, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah,
It was written by Daryl Haney and Manuel Fidelo. And this is starring the lovely Lar Park Lincoln as Tina, and we actually got a chance to meet her
yes, we
a
did.
few years back. Yeah. Again, at not just another Comic Con. She's a really nice person. I remember her well. We went to. I don't know if you ever stayed after for the dinners or anything like that,
Yeah.
but she, yeah,
I unfortunately didn't get to. I only got to sit in on one. A lot of times, I worked the weekends at my job, so a lot of times I would
yeah,
basically help out as much as I could during the day. That I usually wasn't able to stay for the after parties.
yeah. So one of the times, that one year, I think this was 2 years ago, 2018. So 3 years from now, but
Right.
two conventions ago. Uh, she was there and she stayed after for one of the after party things, and I got to hang out with her a bit. Super
Right.
nice lady.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really cool. Uh, this also stars Kevin Spiritus as Nick, and for the first time in the Jason costume, the one and only Kane Hodder,
Woo!
as he's become known as the quintessential Jason.
Well, he is the only repeat Jason. So not only that alone held him into high regard amongst the fans, and I'll get into a lot of stuff that I like after we get through the description. But yeah, he is definitely the most highly regarded Jason actor, I believe.
Yeah. That always seems to be the opinion I get talking to Friday the 13th fans.
Right?
And then Terry Kaiser as Dr. Cruz. Now you may remember Terry Kaiser in his most famous role as the titular character in Weekend at Bernie's.
That's where I knew him from. Oh, it was
Yeah.
bugging me the whole movie, and I was too busy looking up other things and to check his thing. But he does look familiar. I assumed it was another horror movie, which I guess you could argue a bunch of guys carrying around a dead body. It could be considered a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was Bernie through
Yeah.
the entire,
Oh wow, that's
through the
crazy.
entire movie, pretty much, other than the first 10 minutes he was dead. So
All right.
this movie starts with the now kind of famous recaps that the Friday the 13th series does, even though they skipped for the past couple.
Right.
Uh, and it recaps the pretty much the entire series so far, culminating with Jason being left for dead at the bottom of Crystal Lake with a boulder tied to his neck.
Yep.
After the credits, we get a scene of young Tina witnessing her father hit her mother. Tina takes off to the lake and gets in a boat. When her father comes out to get her, Tina uses her telekinetic powers to destroy the dock and her father is standing on. He falls into the lake, debris falls on him, and he drowns. Adult Tina awakens to a start, having had a nightmare of her childhood and the death of her father. Her and her mother are in a car and returning to Tina's childhood home on Crystal Lake, where they are going to meet Tina's psychologist, Dr. Cruz, who is hoping that returning to the site of her father's death might give Tina the breakthrough she needs, or at least that's the story he's telling.
Right.
When they get there, it quickly becomes clear that Dr. Cruz is much more interested in Tina's telekinetic powers than he is in her mental welfare. After a session, Tina is distraught and heads to the boat landing where she wishes to bring her father back to life. Using her powers, she accidentally awakens the sleeping Jason and snaps the chain that's holding him to the bottom of the lake.
Yes, sir.
The next day, Nick, one of the victims slash partiers staying at the cabin next door, has become infatuated with Tina and invites her over for a party. In the meantime, Michael, whose birthday party the kids are throwing, and his girlfriend break down and venture through the woods, soon to be taken out by Jason. Back at the party, Tina has a vision of Michael getting killed, freaks out, and returns home. Dr. Cruz tries to convince Tina she is delusional. Jason manages to take out a couple of campers, one of which has a machete because one of them always has a machete for Jason to take.
Has to, really.
The next day, Nick continues his pursuit of wooing Tina, and as day turns to night, Jason begins picking off the partiers at the cabin next door. Tina's mom figures out that Dr. Cruz is a dick, and as they argue, he threatens to institutionalize Tina regardless of their wishes. Tina overhears and takes off in her mom's car. While speeding away, Tina sees a vision of Jason killing her mom and wrecks the car. As she travels through the woods trying to get back home, she finds Nick, who has been out looking for her. On the way back to the houses, they find Michael's body in the woods, obviously causing them to hurry back and discover that Dr. Cruz and Tina's mom are gone. Well, because they went out looking for Tina. So Jason finishes picking off the partiers for the most part, except for Melissa, the complete and total bitch. And Nick and Tina figure out what is going on. Nick returns to the house that the partiers are staying at to get his friends, only to find them all dead. He had left Tina back at her house. He returns to get Tina so they can leave and finds Melissa there, but Tina gone. As Nick and Melissa wait for Tina, who has wandered out looking for her mom, Tina runs into Dr. Cruz, who is running from Jason and wants to use Tina's powers to fight him off. Soon, Jason takes care of him. Tina returns back to the houses where Jason attacks her. She pretty much drops the neighbor's house on him, which isn't quite enough to kill him. And she goes back to her house and tells Nick that she has killed Jason. And as Melissa starts to tell Nick and Tina that they're full of crap, Jason comes through the door and hits her in the head with an axe in a beautiful kill we had all been waiting for the entire movie.
Yeah.
Tina uses her powers to fight Jason, eventually crushing his mask on his face in a very epic battle scene where she hangs him, lights him on fire, shoots him with nails, and eventually blows him up. None of these things, however, actually do much damage to Jason. Eventually, she uses her powers to bring her zombie father back to life and drag Jason to the bottom of Crystal Lake again. And her and Nick live happily ever after, never to be heard of again.
That's very accurate. We did not get a follow-up.
So that is pretty much the plot of this movie.
Yeah.
and I gave it a quick run through there, but this is actually one of my favorite ones.
It is a damn good one. As silly as you could, and granted, silly in quotation marks, because this is Friday the 13th we're talking about, of the setup of Jason versus a psychic girl, it works. It
Yeah,
actually it works really well, and I think
yeah.
that
If
yeah, go ahead.
go, I was just going to say, if somebody told you that plot line, oh, we're going to have Jason fight a psychic girl with telekinetic powers, you would just laugh.
Do you know why this came about?
No, I actually don't.
When this first, after they finished part 6 and they wanted to make 7, they had felt it was kind of like they knew it was a routine at this point, but again they're always trying to change it up, so sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. They Part 7 was the first attempt they had at Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, okay.
But because at the time, Friday the 13th is owned by Paramount and Nightmare is owned by a New Line, they couldn't come to an agreement on anything. On, like, I guess probably
Gotcha.
sharing credits, who would win. Nothing came about. But the director and writers were still hell bent on making a versus movie. So they said, well, we can't get the rights to anybody. Why don't we have them fight Carrie without making
And
it Carrie?
essentially,
Yeah.
yeah,
So hence we got the telekinetic Tina. So that's kind of how like that came about. They still wanted him to fight like another kind of, horror iconic character, but they couldn't obviously get the copyright for any of them. Stephen King was definitely not, and whoever owned Carrie's rights were not going to sign off on that. So
right.
so hey, like we made our own. But
Uh,
other
and
little
it worked damn well.
oh, absolutely. Like so I remember like we had talked about when we agreed we were going to do this one first, and I'm like, 7 always lingers in my mind of like I don't remember always enjoying it, but like again watching it again, like yeah, I'm seeing, especially now watching it analytically, I like it even better than I remember because
Yeah.
there's so many little things like all the cast, big and small overall. Like I don't feel like there's a very weak actor overall. Even some of the minor characters that you're not worried about, but like the ones that get good screen time, it really feel like everyone's giving their best. Shout out to Melissa for giving arguably the most satisfying kill in the franchise because she is a complete bitch this entire movie. And yeah, when she catches that axe to the face, you know that's those times you cheer for a murder. You know what I mean? But
You were waiting the entire movie
yeah,
for her to get off, and they
and
held her to the
I'm
end.
about to say she was the last kill, I believe, wasn't she?
She was.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
that
absolutely was.
that's them knowing their audience, knowing they're always waiting for the stuck up mean bitch to get it, and they usually get it early or middle of the movie. They held out, like you were just
Well, they
like,
held out with both of the assholes. You
true,
had
yeah,
Melissa, and Dr. Cruz was the one previous to her.
oh yeah,
So
absolutely,
you had the two biggest jerks in the movie get killed off at the end. So you were definitely cheering for Jason by the time they got to the end.
right. A couple little tidbits here. The opening recap had a narrator.
Yes.
The narrator was the actor who, of course, I wrote the actor instead of who actually played him. I'm sorry. He's the actor who was Crazy Ralph in the first 2 films.
Oh, okay.
And this
Okay.
this was his last role he had done as the narrator
Okay.
before he passed
Okay.
away. But shout
I
out
knew the
to
voice sounded familiar, but I didn't
yeah,
bother to look it up.
this place has a death curse. You're all gonna die. I love Crazy Ralph.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's unfortunate he only lasted for 2 movies.
yeah, he survived the first one, but
Yeah.
he played it again and couldn't make it through there. Another big one, Mrs. Shepard, Tina's mother, Susan
Yeah.
Blue. For those of you who grew up as a child of the 80s or maybe even an early teen of the 80s, her voice may have sounded familiar to you. Now, it not being auto-tuned, it may have been hard to tell, but certain inflections I know. She was actually RC from the 80s Transformers cartoon series and movie.
Really?
Yeah.
That is impressive. I did not know that either.
Oh, yeah. Being a 80, especially Generation 1 80s Transformer fan, like, yeah, and like, I have that and my Friday the 13th melding together. I fucking love that.
Yeah, that is pretty epic right there.
Like I said, I'm saving all my Kane Hodder, love in a second. I got one more little thing. I'm definitely going to rant
Yeah.
about Hotter for a little while. But this does involve Hotter. This movie holds a record. I don't know if it's been updated, if they've done longer, but has the longest controlled burning on film. When Hodder is set on fire, he is on fire legitimately with no camera tricks or alternate angles or any of the things they do to extend the burning for 40 seconds.
Wow.
So like,
Yeah.
you think like 40 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but think about it. Where granted he's in layers and he's protected, but he's on fire for 40 seconds. And so I think this film, according to IMDb trivia, still holds the record for it.
That's impressive right there,
Yeah.
man.
Which even
Did
more.
did he
Oh yeah,
do his own stunts?
he did. He has his
Okay.
background, which okay, we're gonna get right into Hotter. It's amazingness
Yeah, let's go
now.
right into it
Uh,
because Jason is definitely the strong point. Him and Tina,
yeah.
both amazing in this, but Jason's look and everything about him in this one are really strong points to this
Oh,
movie.
absolutely. See, Hodder's background is in stunt works. He had done stunts
Okay.
for movies for a while, and the record for burning is actually very interesting because I got to meet the man at a tattoo/horror convention like
Oh,
10
okay.
years ago when I worked for a tattoo shop. We had a booth set up there, and I got to meet the man. He's about my height, about 6'2", 6'1", something like that. He's
Oh,
jacked,
okay.
he's still jacked as all hell. So like he makes an intimidating Jason. And
Right.
by the way, the man has got a killer grip because that's what he does when he poses for a picture. I need to dig that picture up from somehow because he grabs the back of your neck. But he actually
Oh, wow.
he wears gloves because he actually suffered like very severe burns from one of his previous stunt works. So he
Oh,
actually
okay.
so to and that was before this film. That wasn't because of this one. So not only is say a lot for his professionalism of willing to get set on fire again, to get set on fire for that long. But so props to him on that end. But just now his portrayal as Jason, like as we know, like he plays Jason from this movie all the way through to Jason X. So like he's the only reoccurring one. And while it may not make sense because Jason's dead, do you notice how like he breathes a little bit with Jason? Like you see his chest puffing in and
Yeah.
out. He's very
Yep.
animalistic and aggressive in his kills. That's all Hotter. They pretty much told him, kind of like the other ones who did fine jobs of just being the mindless killing machine. He really brought out that almost like he's a force of nature feel to the murders. Jason has to kill. Like even little nods. Again, you can just tell I'm fanboying out of like,
No, no, go
yeah,
for it,
like
man. I
you'll
love
see
it.
it in this one and in the future ones too, as he perfected the craft of the simple things of like Jason, like almost like he has a sensory for murder. He'll turn his head first and then like his body follows. You know what I mean? Instead of just like one clean
Yeah.
motion. Like he's a
Yep.
predator. He is stalking these annoying ass teenagers. You know what I mean?
He, yeah, and he does very, very well.
Yeah, and yeah, he goes full blown. Like he loved playing Jason. He was very sad when they recast in Freddy versus Jason, with the reason literally only being they wanted someone who would really tower over Robert Englund. Like they
That's yeah.
it was nothing against Hodder. They like hey they liked him as a role, but like the director's vision was a severe difference in them to kind of show more of the contrast too. But yeah, I mean, he absolutely killed it in this film. Like I said, he brought a new, like I said, an edge and aggression to Jason in this, and I think that's what really helped to solidify him as the favorite. Because there've been other great Jasons in the previous films, but when you think Jason, if you know like the goings on behind the scenes, you think Kane Hodder.
Well, yeah, exactly. When you talk to any, Friday the 13th fans, they pretty much they fanboy out just like you just did, and I love it. I love every minute of it.
Yeah,
Um, you know, in this movie, Jason, you can tell he just no longer cares about even trying to be human.
yeah, oh
In
yeah,
the past movies, he's replaced torn clothing, he's done things of that nature.
right.
He literally wears the shitty clothes that he had been decaying in the lake for who knows how long.
Yeah, I forget, like, I think someone kind of tried to theorize about maybe 10 years Look at
Yeah, that seems
the
about right.
decay, because he was buried in like gloves and a tool belt, all that stuff he had gotten, from those from Horshack basically, and like the
Yeah.
stuff Tommy dropped when they dug him up. So he was still in those clothes when he got dropped in the water. So he had the decay. I love the bones showing through his rotting flesh.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
There's a scene where he's walking and you can actually see his knee joint
Yeah. Oh yeah.
underneath his pants and through his flesh. Yeah.
Right. I really like the shot they show from behind where you really see the spine and the rib cage
Yeah.
sticking through. Like it's just it is. If you ever thought he was just a tough, invincible guy, like this movie really solidifies that he is supernatural, undead, and just a nonstop killing machine. Uh, Again, like I said, the I can't emphasize the most of just the simple little things of like him like being undead, breathing doesn't make sense, but man, like it really adds to the intimidation factor. You'll just see Jason sitting there for a minute after a kill, just breathing, like savoring, the moment, and it just, so good.
Well,
uh,
I mean, yeah, he doesn't even take the chain off, right? He climbs
no,
out of the water and where the chain's busted, he just wears that chain the rest of the movie like it's a necklace, no problem.
yep, nah, he ain't worried about that. Like hell, he'll use it if he needs it. but
That's that's right.
but then and then on top of all that, we have the aggression of Jason, and then we have Tina, which I still don't like the conclusion to their battle, but that's a damn
Nah,
good battle. Like I don't really
it
like the
is.
dad coming back thing was kind of weird. Like it truly felt like, if I remember right, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I want to say they had a different plan. I couldn't tell you what it is right now on top of my head, but like I think something didn't really work out, so they kind of came up with that
Gotcha.
at the last minute.
Yeah, it was a little weird for the very ending, but ultimately we all know Jason survives and it's just a way to get him back out of the
Yeah, for sure.
mix.
And I mean, this is also the longest we get to see Jason without his mask on.
Yeah, she crushes the mask with about 15 to 20 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah,
And it was funny because right before that, it's been a long time since I've seen these later Friday
right.
the 13th movies. It's probably been at least 10, 15 years, I would say. And so she crushes the mask. And right before that, I noticed that, I had commented in my head that they had really kept the same mask, because you'd talked about before how they'd left the axe
Mm-hmm.
wound in there through the
Yep.
whole thing and all of that. But this one actually had the damage to the bottom of it where the propeller hit it
Right.
and tore it up and quote unquote broke his neck. Um,
Yeah, as well as the axe indication, and
yep.
he's still missing the eye. And I like that the red of the triangle above the eyes of the on the mask has like faded out now, and I think it's like pretty much a black, damn near black, just from damage and sitting in
Being
that lake.
underwater.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Which I also remember, like I remember not really liking how much of his mouth was exposed back in the day. But again, like I said, really looking back and just taking it in and watching it not just for myself, but to like kind of discuss with you and our great listeners. Uh, just seeing his teeth of the jaw sticking out from behind. There's even moments where he kind of moves it a little bit, like it's like it's those little touches that just made Jason so great in this film.
Yeah. And I mean, I was going to talk about the effects in this movie being really good, but when you talk about it, you can't. They spent a giant
Right.
portion of their budget on Jason and
Oh yeah.
making him look just absolutely amazing in this. Like you said, without the mask on and everything, he she hangs him, then shoots nails. I mean, I went through
Yep.
it all already, but I mean, all this stuff she does to him, and most of that happens without the mask on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And
yeah,
the look, I think I got at least a still or a clip I put in here that should be playing over to our audio of him. Of the like sunken in, rotting, kind of like not mummified, but almost kind of like mummy-esque face of what a decaying body would look like at that point, with still a little bit of life obviously still in him because he can still move. And like I said, they kept the one eye correct. Like all the damage, like they paid attention. They didn't slip on any of like the damage he's taken over the years. And which
And that's what I felt about this movie is that it probably more so than most of the rest kind of followed the I'm going to use the word canon of all
right,
the other movies and pieced it together probably better than most of the rest of them did, in my opinion.
right, yeah, without having anybody to connect it directly to other than where they left him in the last one. It's
Right.
still, yeah. I mean, you see this, you see the history of the series in him now. Since there's no Tommy Jarvis anymore, there's no really connecting people. So like they had to show how much Jason been through just by him. So and of course a very nice Crazy Ralph narrated recap in the beginning.
Well, I was kind of glad to see the recap again. They left it out in the past two movies.
Right.
But I feel like that's just part of the Friday the 13th series, and I kind of enjoy having it in there.
Oh, for sure.
Even
And
if they
yeah.
just hit like kill shots and stuff like that,
I was gonna say I actually really liked the recap for this one because there was no direct characters to connect it to. It was a
Yeah.
highlight reel, you know. What I mean? Like you said, the greatest
It,
hits of Jason through the years,
that's
or his
pretty
mother
much what it was.
in
Yeah.
for the first one, or the Voorhees legacy. So it was very
Yeah.
cool. Um,
Yeah.
oh, I did forget to mention something a little personal for me and maybe a few people out there listening about Kane Hodder. He is a fan of a rap group called the Insane Clown Posse. Uh,
Oh, is he?
he is. He attends their gathering of the Juggalos. He's been at a lot of their events, and I noticed he has a their logo is the Hatchet Man, the guy running with the meat cleaver. He has a custom
Yeah.
chain he made of the man running, but he's got a machete and he's wearing a hockey mask
Oh, that's nice.
that he wore at the show. And I didn't know this about him at all. And I went up to the show, and I also just happened to be wearing an ICP shirt when I met him at the con. And he's like, Juggalo. I was like, whoop whoop. And he was like, half off a signature. What do you want? What do you want? I was like, hell yeah. Like,
Nice.
so he gives discounts for fellow ICP fans. And again,
That's nice.
super nice guy. He was just answered any questions. He was chatting up with everybody on there. And I don't remember because, like I said, this was like 10 plus years ago. I still got the signed 8x10 from this movie. Is him holding the, is that a weed whacker? The circular saw tool?
It's
I'm not a tool guy.
it's a tree trimmer. Yeah.
Tree trimmer. Yeah, I got a picture of him holding that sign, and he said, "Sean, you're next, Kane Hodder." It's like it's
No
great.
idea where he got the tree trimmer, but hey,
I mean, you know what? Tool sheds are out in the woods. I'm assuming
yeah,
he's always been a handyman, known for using his tools.
that's what he did. That's what he did after his mom thought he was dead and he had to survive. He was a handyman out on the lake for all the people that lived there.
He had odd jobs, just killed off his clients before he got paid. That's why he had to live in a
Yeah.
shitty shed. But another
Also,
little yeah.
there was no real explanation for why the neighbor's house where the party was happening happened to have half of the power out and half of
Oh.
the power on through the feed
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even think about that.
for
Yeah,
a
you're
reason.
right. Because
For
reasons.
reasons and plot.
But I mean, other than like so Melissa having arguably one of the most satisfying deaths in the franchise thus far, little piece of trivia, just a nice little nod to the '80s. Michael, he's the sci-fi obsessed dude with he had the military jacket with all the pins and patches.
Yeah, that Michael was the guy that they were throwing the party for. I don't remember that particular guy's name
Oh,
though.
I thought they were both named Michael or
Maybe
something.
they are. Maybe they
Yeah,
are.
I thought I double
That's
checked.
Michael's a pretty common name. So
Right, but but specifically the one that had he was like the sci-fi writer, and I
yep,
think Melissa
yep.
fucked with
The
him.
author.
Yeah,
Yep.
one of his pins is actually from a series known in the states as Robotech,
Oh, is it?
which
That's
is
pretty awesome.
an early American adaptation of an anime franchise known as Macross in Japan. But yeah, just randomly in there, just like oh no, I saw it. I was like, I thought that looked familiar, and I got it, yeah, confirmed. They got a little anime pin in there. Gotta love that too. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but yeah,
Um,
man. Again, fantastic movie. It's so damn good.
So yeah, and this one happened to do something that the last two movies hadn't done, and that was balance the violence and the nudity into a
Oh yeah,
pretty
yeah,
decent balance in this movie without going overboard on the nudity and giving us plenty of violence.
right.
Which let's be honest, we're mostly watching this to watch Jason kill people. That's
In
mostly why you
reality,
watch.
it is. It is. I mean, when you can get a good character, and we've mentioned this before too. Uh, we come in for the kills, but we're extremely happy when we can actually get characters we care about, and even a story or a setup that that keeps us captivated. We're not just going, all right, come on, get on to the next next slaughter, and
Well, and they did something really well in this. Speaking of getting on to the next slaughter without cutting you, I'm sorry
hey,
to cut
you're
you
fine.
off,
No,
Sean.
you're good. You're good.
Um, they did something really well, and that was the kills weren't just there's Jason, he kills him. There's
Right.
Jason, he kills him. They actually set up with him chasing more than just Tina in this one. A lot of times it's just a chase scene at the end,
Right.
but there were quite a few Jason hunting people down scenes in this one.
Yeah.
And there was one really awesome moment where he's hiding in the corner of the house and the lightning flashes, and you
Oh
see
yeah.
him standing there, and then the lightning goes away, and you don't see him any longer. But
Right.
they did some really great things like that in this movie. Again, just having some suspense for. I mean, honestly, most of the people in the party people, the
Yeah.
victims,
Yeah.
I don't even remember their names.
Nah. Other
But the
than Melissa. That's because again you hated her the entire film.
right, but they focused on Tina and Nick. They gave you enough backstory for Nick to care about him. Um, and they didn't give it a whole lot. Just he told you he was a troubled teen and he was trying to get his life together. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And then you had enough backstory on Tina, of course, to care about her.
Right.
And the rest of them were there simply to be victims, which is typical in these.
Of course.
But they again built up enough suspense for most of them. I mean, you had his mom in Doctor Cruz, her mom and Doctor Cruz being chased in
Right.
the woods. You had her, of course, being chased. You had the campers. You had, yeah. I mean, you can go on. The girl that got high with the one dude.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
she
Yeah.
ha- she had a moment, where she's being stalked. It's they did just enough to not make it just be Jason's standing in the corner and he kills them, or they're
Right.
having sex and he shoves something through them and kills them. There was a lot of suspense in the kills.
Yeah. Which I think really again added to showing the more predatory nature of Jason instead of him
Yep.
just magically popping up at a camera turn or a character turning around. You'll see like in I got the clip playing over during the show of Melissa before she gets the axe is usually you would expect like you wouldn't know Jason's there until she opened the door, but you could actually see his silhouette and it's intentional walking up to the
Yep.
door. Like you said, you can see that scene of him in the back corner being lit up by lightning beforehand. They show him chasing them down. Like I said, not just in the climax. Oh, another good one was again we don't remember any of these characters' names, but the girl that kind of got the makeover
Yes. Uh
and
huh.
and she's running from him, and kind of like ducking under. I find that little hole under the wall. She's running around, which the great
Yep.
moment of Jason having one arm bust through and then the other one through the wall to get to her.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
see, yeah, this movie really to me amped up Jason's style of killing and just really brought a different take. We've been watching him kill people for 6 movies, 5 movies. Mother, we've been seeing teenagers get killed for 6 movies, but this one, they did something good when
You
this
know it
really
when
stands
you
out.
think about so six previous, but two of them weren't him.
Oh, two, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
So four movies at this point.
4 movies of Jason for sure, but still the style and how the movies have evolved. And this director really it feels like he really wanted to stand out, and I think he did. I think he did a great job.
Yep, I can't argue with any of that. I came up with 15 kills by Jason,
Nice.
one by Tina, her father,
Right.
and then quote unquote one by Tina's zombie dad. So, which is, as we know, not really a kill,
Right.
but so 17 kills in this movie, which is a little bit less in the past few,
Right.
but I almost every one of them I think was on screen this time.
Yeah, and it was more like significant in the way of like it wasn't just some random paintballers. These were all people who we actually focused on. You know what I mean? So
Except
like,
for the campers.
yeah, the campers. You got to have your first little no-name kills, but like
That's
that
right.
that one was that part 6 or whatever. Like that one, like some of his higher body counts sometimes had a lot of disposable. We're literally here to get a higher body count. No other reason for me to exist in the story.
Yep. I don't know why at this point, we haven't talked about it yet as far as the name going back to Camp Crystal Lake and the city going back to Crystal Lake.
Yeah,
But I don't know if it's ever explained or not. But at this point, I don't know why anybody would ever go camping in this area.
well,
You know,
I mean,
I
not,
know at this point it's been 10 years because
yeah,
when we're going to say 10 years, I have no idea because Tina, it's the same night that they drown Jason that Tommy drowns Jason because she's looking at the calendar and it says Friday the 13th on it,
right,
which
and
was the
yeah,
same night that happened. So you assume it's the same night, and then you go from that to her, and she's probably 6 or 7 to 18 or so.
yeah.
Um, so maybe people have forgotten in that time, but somehow I have a feeling not. Those kinds of urban legends tend to stick around for a while.
Well, as without trying to get too much into the real world topics of what's going on out there, and we've learned that humans have an incredible feat for denying the obvious and ignoring stuff. So I'm gonna chalk
Fair,
it.
fair
I'm
enough.
gonna chalk it up to like, you know what? That's probably bullshit. That's fake news. All right, that's all I want to touch on that.
Fake news. We're gonna run right at Jason. He's obviously not real.
Yeah, but we're gonna call it
Made
Crystal
up by
Lake.
the media.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's no worries anymore. He's surely dead this time.
And of course he was not.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good one. One of my favorite entries into this for sure.
Absolutely.
What was your best kill?
You know what? It's as satisfying as Melissa's was. There was one kill in here that was so nice they had to do it twice, which we'll get into in a later movie. It had to go to the sleeping bag.
Yeah, same for me.
I mean, just lifting her up while she hides in a sleeping bag, brilliance right there. To where in real life, apparently a 95-pound mannequin body so it could wiggle. Kane Hodder had to legit lift up and crack up against a tree several times
Nice.
because they never quite got the right shot. The one they used was the last one where he apparently also. I wish they would have kept it in, but it kind of would break it. He apparently kicked the shit out of the bag afterwards because he was very frustrated. But yeah,
They should have
definitely.
left that in.
I think so too. But yeah, definitely the sleeping bag kill, which I did include a nice GIF of in this video,
Nice.
so they can see it.
Yeah. So where do we want to rate this, Sean? Or do you have anything else before we go to the rating?
No, I think I ranted and raved enough about it. Yeah, I got all my notes and like some my own personal stories. Again, this is one of the better, like probably the best sequel so far. We rated the some of the early ones pretty high, and then quality did admittedly drop, but this is a
Yeah.
you know, and that's what you'll see in these films. Like they'll start dropping down, but then you can tell it's the one that really has kept this franchise alive, and I strongly feel this one is. And as usual, I write down my star rating, and then it changes after we talk about it.
So what did you give?
When I sat down and watched it, I wrote down 4 stars. After talking and just still drooling over Kane Hodder and all he does, I'm gonna give it 5. I'm giving it a 5 star.
Are you? I'm going to give it a. You know what? I'm going to give it 5 stars as
Yeah.
well. I had four.
Yeah.
Thought about going 4.5, but I think I'm going to do five on this. It
Like,
was probably my favorite in the series. Well, obviously, it's my favorite in the series so far.
yeah. It's
And
again,
that
like, so
doesn't
yeah.
mean that 4 and 2 and 1 were bad,
No, not at
because they
all.
were good. But man, this one just
I mean,
killed it. Oh, I know there was something else. When Jason jumps through the window at Tina,
uh
I thought, man, I wish I had asked Lar Park Lincoln when I met her if they actually tell them some of this stuff, or if they, try to scare them on set.
oh, I mean, I'm sure. Like sometimes they like I know in some past ones where he busts through the window. Jason, that's almost one of his signatures. He loves coming through some windows to grab at somebody.
Right.
There's been several occasions, and I can't remember for sure if this is one, but it wouldn't surprise me. I know exactly what the scene you're talking about. If maybe she didn't quite know when, because like I feel like they're gonna tell him, well, stand there, and he's gonna come through the window, but maybe they don't know exactly what the countdown is, because
Right.
they usually get a great reaction from those, and I think that's got to be probably key to it.
I and she was supposed to be at the show this year.
Right?
I don't know if she still is. I was looking at the Facebook page and I didn't see her on there any
Yeah.
longer. She was going to be back if it was in 2020, and she may have a scheduling conflict this time around.
Right.
So we'll keep you up to date on that. Uh, so yeah, next week we have a little bit of a surprise. We're going to deviate from the Friday the 13th movies for one episode, and we are going to talk about a graphic novel that has been turned into a movie. We're not talking about the comic book. We are talking about the movie, and that's The Empty Man.
Yes,
And we're going
sir.
to do a crossover with our buddy Jerry, and this episode will be aired both on our channel and on your other channel, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah, the Yokai Delinquents podcast on YouTube. It is the show I do with Jerry where we just kind of talk about anything and everything. And yeah, it'll be so this is gonna be our big crossover and a somewhat Southern Fried Geekery reunion,
yeah,
which
yeah.
we already did on the Yokai Delinquents. So you should also I'll actually put a link on this to the episode we did with you, Craig.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
I knew the name of your podcast. I just wanted to give you a chance to plug
sure
it.
sure
So
you did sure you did.
no, seriously. Um, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun having Jerry on. He read the comic, or the first volume of the comic, I think, as
Oh,
well.
okay.
And I picked up the movie today. We're going to watch it. Jerry's already seen it. You and I are going to watch it. And we're going to talk next week about that. It was written by Colin Bunn. I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. Um, Sorry to interrupt the Friday the 13th, but as new movies come out that we feel that are worthy of talking about, we are going to do this on occasion where we stop whatever series we're in and we talk about that movie. And this is one of those instances.
Yeah, we want to, cause we can talk about the classics all day, but we thought y'all would really enjoy though hearing some modern horror you could, maybe thinking about checking out. And now we can definitely encourage something you can find recently that wasn't in the '80s so far.
There you go. There you go. Because I have a feeling we're going to be in the 80s for a little bit.
We are. We're nearing the end, at least on this one. But then when we get to our next franchises, we're going to go right back.
Yeah, we've already decided, because of reasons we're
Yeah,
not going to tell you yet, but we already know which series we're going to do next. Because we got to keep you guys on edge, just like
absolutely.
just like campers at Camp Crystal Lake that hear a twig snap.
Well, Craig, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. Do you
Yep.
have a recommendation for our audience?
You know what, Sean? I actually forgot to do a recommendation this week. So, we will double up on the recommendations next week. How's that?
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
It's,
Sorry
it's
about that. I
it,
completely blew that.
no worries. It has been a hell of a week for us, which
It has.
yeah. So, but talking horror movies with you, brother, always
I
makes
mean,
me happy.
I could give a recommendation. Let's do
Yeah, maybe
this.
not a detailed one. Just throw something out there for them.
Yeah, I watched the original Godzilla this week,
Oh yeah.
and that is a movie that everybody should watch if you are into horror slash monster movies. Not that I haven't seen it before, but I did a
Right.
rewatch on it. It's been years and years since I've seen it
Yeah.
because I am currently going through all the Godzilla verse and Gamera verse,
Right. Which
and
is that's such a great franchise to watch. Now, did you watch the original Japanese version, Gojira, or was it the one that with the cut in American scenes,
I
Godzilla? With
watched.
the,
I watched the original one. I have seen the Americanized one as
okay.
well.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with King Kong versus Godzilla. There's an American version and a
Oh.
original Japanese version. My understanding is you can only find the original Japanese version only airs in Japan anymore. The rest of the world shows the Americanized version.
Oh wow. I actually never realized that. I wonder. It's
Yeah,
been
I
so
did not know
long.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it until I went looking for it. But yeah, uh, so yeah, the Godzilla franchise, of course, that first one, it's amazing especially for the time it was made in. So go watch Godzilla.
Absolutely, that's a great recommendation. And so, but that is going to do it for today. If you guys enjoyed what you heard, please give us a give us a like, give us a share, and let us know what you think of this movie. We both obviously loved it, and let us know if you've seen this one, if you feel the same about it, if it really upped the quality of the franchise. And yeah, stay tuned for a very special episode next week with our buddy Jerry. And yeah, we'll
Yeah.
catch y'all next time.
See you guys next week.